All right, so today on Black Summit, we got a special guest in the house. We're gonna let this gentleman introduce himself and tell you what he's all about.
Well, my name is Zyon Khalifa, and I'm running for Congress in the 2nd District. I am from Aiken, so I grew up in Aiken, went to Silver Bluff High School, and after high school, came up to University of South Carolina. I ran track there, and after graduating, I went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I went to law school at Southern University, and now I'm back home.
Okay, okay.
Got you.
So why you running? What made you decide to run for getting this messy politics, this mess of politics?
So, I get asked this question a lot, obviously, being a candidate.
Yeah.
And the main thing was I've always told my dad, I want to help people. I want to help as many people as I can. And to help people, you have to be in a position to help people. If you're not in a position, then you're really it's just empty dreams. And right now is like the prime time to run, honestly. A lot of the Republicans are seeing what's going on, and so they're not just devoting themselves to the party anymore. They're actually starting to think for themselves. Same thing with the Democrats, starting to think for themselves. And so right now, it's prime time. Like, I don't know if you saw, but there's 124 House seats
Yep.
for South Carolina. And this is like the first time that every single House seat has a candidate on both sides.
Oh, wow, man.
Yeah, people are standing up. People are getting involved in politics, and to me, it's a good thing to see. I mean, to see, people. I don't know how old you are, but like young people getting
yeah.
involved in politics. I mean, that's really cool to see. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm real glad. Honestly, so I'm 25.
okay,
So I barely made the cusp,
yeah,
So, and, when I'm out, I'd let people know that my age plays to the party in a beneficial way, because right now, the party can't connect with the younger generation as far as the Democratic Party. Now, the Republican Party, they have this whole movement where they have mobilized the younger generation, and that's how they're having so much things getting done in their favor. But the Democratic Party, we're kind of still relying on old strategies and old candidates. And
yes,
so right now, I feel like it's a prime time for my generation, for us to move forward correctly.
I think it's great, man, being that you are the age that you are and you're in politics, and the fact that I'm sure I saw a little bit of your campaign on Facebook, and you did a couple of town hall meetings and things like that. And I think it's good that you are what I consider like grassroots podcasts like this, and going out and doing interviews on podcasts like this. So I think that's definitely a good. You're going in the right direction with that.
Thank
Definitely
you. I
that, definitely
appreciate that.
that.
I'm definitely running a campaign where I'm making sure people know that I'm genuine at the end of the day. That's the biggest thing about this campaign, and I want people to know that I'm a common sense candidate. Right now, there's a lot of division, as we all know. There's so much division. And I think the radicals are the ones making the most noise, because what they say is clickbait.
Yeah.
And so since it's clickbait, we're all seeing it. We all see the worst of the worst on both sides. And with that, it makes each party villainize each other. And so I'm moderate, I'm nice in the middle, and I understand both sides. So even if something isn't the best for the people, I might be able to see the rationale behind why they want to do it. And so if I can see the rationale, then now we can come to a common ground of, all right, well, how do we reach this rationale in a way that also supports the people? But if both sides are just like, well, a Democrat put that up, so I'm not even going to vote for it or listen to it, then nothing ever gets done.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's key what you just said about understanding both sides, right? Because ultimately it's about the people, correct?
Right.
Regardless of what aisle they on, right? And being it's rural, correct, right? Where you are. So,
Right.
and normally South Carolina, let's be honest, rule is red, right?
Right.
So is it an uphill battle for you to try to get your point across?
I think right now, the yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it is an uphill battle. But once people actually have a conversation, everything's changed, and that's what's so crazy. I went canvassing and knocking on doors Sunday, and I would say 75% of the people I talked to were Republicans, and but each one of them, excluding one, wants a yard sign that says Khalifa for Congress in their yard now, and they give a donation and they want to do the right thing, as far as choosing the right candidate. And so it made me realize that right now it's about having conversations with people. If we just expect them to know who we are, how we feel, and that we all have their interests at heart, then it'll never work. We have to actually communicate that to them so they can see, like, okay, well, this guy, you know, he might be a Democrat, but, you know, I see where he's coming from. And for us to win as a Democrats in the state, we have to be that he might be a Democrat, but candidate for the Republican Party.
Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. You got to talk to the people, man. And I think that's the beauty in the youth right there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, yeah, definitely.
Speaking of youth, do you feel, what are the demographics of the district that you serve? Do you feel like it skews older, younger? What do you see?
It definitely skews older.
Okay.
It skews older. I'll say Aiken's like a retirement town.
Okay.
So, but then you also have Columbia, which skews back younger,
Right.
you know, because it's a college town. So the median age really is right in the middle, just because it has that balance, you know. It has that old retirement town, college town, and then besides that, it's straight rural towns.
Yeah.
So rural towns like Barnwell, but there's also a college town for Orangeburg, because we got South Carolina State and Claflin.
Yeah.
So that brings the age back down a little bit. But the problem is making sure those people in these college towns are registered to vote in their town.
Yeah.
Because if they're not, then it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how do you get the young people involved? Because I feel like that's something that's super important. You know, a lot of young people don't even know the importance of actually voting, and that's why a lot of them don't show up when it's time. You know, what are you doing to kind of combat that?
So what I'm doing is I am connecting with not only the organizations in the areas, but connecting with the people in the area that have a lot of influence in the area. So one of my running mates, his name is Malcolm Green, and he coached like the New Ellington middle school basketball team. He was our quarterback on our football team in high school, and you know, he's well loved in the community. And so with him being as loved as he is in the community, that does something for everybody. He's already has the platform in the community. So now he can use his platform to do good in the community. He can use his platform to tell people, hey, register to vote. So now he's running for 86th district. And so for them to vote, they're going to have to register, and we're all going to be on the same ballot. So, and that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. It's the better candidates that you have, like the best candidates will allow you to have the best turnout. So that's why primaries are so important. Because if we lose the primaries, then now you have the candidate that isn't going to pull the other candidates up. So winning the primary allows me and him to be on the ballot in November, which allows our supporters to also come out and push.
Yeah.
That's a smart campaign you're using. It's like you're using influencers.
Pretty much.
Same deal. Yeah. In real time.
What are some of the things that we're facing here in the state that, you know, you guys are trying to, you know, help out with?
So I'm not sure the last time y'all drove through Columbia, but
Been a while.
yeah, well, if you drive through it, just watch the potholes, you know. So just watch the potholes. It's honestly, it's getting bad. It's getting really bad. It seems like federal funding isn't going to where it's needed. That's one thing. And then I spent some time in Barnwell. I went and spoke a few times in Barnwell, and out in Barnwell, their closest hospital is Lexington. So that's an hour away from Barnwell. And I was talking to a man, and he was like, yeah, you know, I had a stomach bug, and so they took me in an ambulance from here to Lexington. They didn't let me choose what hospital I wanted to go to, and it cost me $1,400 for an injection for a stomach bug because of the travel in the ambulance, and then he can choose a provider that works with his insurance. So it's people in the rural areas are being overlooked, and federal funding should go towards things like putting a hospital or urgent care in the community. Why isn't there a hospital close enough where, like, this is also a town that has veterans. There's no VA accessible. There's no hospital accessible. The older people, I think there's 3 pharmacies. One that's like Daniel's Pharmacy, and then 2 CVS's in the entire community. So it's just not enough. Not enough funding is going towards what matters for the people.
Okay. So speak briefly about your policies, like some things that you strongly about and that you want to urge your voters. Speak about that.
So I would say I want to bring some policies as far as education. Currently, I'm sure you know they're destroying the Department of Education right now.
Yeah.
So some policies to protect the Department of Education, to protect postgraduate loans, protect things like that. But there's also, you have to look at, okay, why are so many people having problems with finances once they get into that point? That's a whole separate issue.
Yeah.
But that's one of the policies. I definitely want to bring. So some people aren't going to be the biggest fans of it, but I feel like as far as definitely in South Carolina, the prison system is our biggest moneymaker in South Carolina. And so I don't like that. Definitely when the people that look like us are the main ones in there in the state. And so I want to make it where prisons are more reformative compared to as strict punishments, because if you punishing a person isn't going to stop them from committing the crime. Definitely if the crime was committed in need. So I feel like we should take a different approach, definitely for victimless crimes. Now, crimes with victims, obviously things people have to pay for what they did.
Yeah.
But victimless crimes, I think we should take an approach that serves the community as a whole. Because if we're taking even in policy, taking an approach where it helps the people inside the prisons as far as getting back on their feet, it prevents continuous crimes from happening, and it strengthens the community as a whole.
Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna expound just a little bit. I like what you had said because I saw some of you did a little research on you, before you pull up, do my due diligence.
Understood.
But I did like what you said about far as having resources for the youth, young in the community, give them something to do so they won't turn to life of crime. Can you expound just a little bit?
Yes. So in one of my videos, I mentioned that, when we're in school, we have so many different things to do that prevent us from getting involved in things that we're not supposed to get involved in, like sports, But once you finish high school, what is that high school star athlete supposed to do if they didn't go to college and play ball? And that's what my focus really is on. So I want to bring opportunities and also tracks for people to find work after they graduate high school. I want to destroy that school to prison pipeline that we currently have. So I've been doing research, and there's a lot of space out in Barnwell, and there's some space in Aiken as well. So I want to bring. I can't say too much because obviously I have competitors in the primary, but there's certain manufacturers I want to bring out to the area in a way that gives people who have normal lives work accessibility. So right now in the area we have SRS, which is Savannah River Site, and it's a nuclear site. And obviously you need credentials, you need schooling. It's a lot you have to go through to get to work there. And so that disqualifies a lot of people. So we need more things that people are qualified generally, like an Amazon fulfillment center. Now Amazon, they'll employ a whole town.
Yeah.
Now they'll work you to the bone. They'll work you to the bone, but they'll work you. They'll give you an opportunity to give you a job, and so that's what our people need. That's what the district needs.
Yeah, I think that's good, man. That's people definitely need outlets to
Right.
you know what I'm saying, and a livable, decent wage.
Right.
Or, you know, I've been through a few. Blacksville is not in your district, is it?
I would. It's maybe like a slither of it,
Oh,
but
okay, because I know that's not too far from Aiken, right?
right,
Blacksville,
right.
yeah. Because I work NFL films and we
Okay.
was filming in Blacksville, but we couldn't stand. We had to stay in Aiken because there's nothing in Blacksville at all.
Exactly.
I mean, nothing. Like dilapidated.
It's really crazy. It's
Yeah.
like we have so much space in the state that nothing's being done with.
Yeah.
So we see you a lot out in the community. Like he was saying, we watched a few videos on some of the things that you're doing, and you talked about going door to door and talking to the voters and stuff like that. What did you? Because you were out during the No Kings rally,
I was.
and as I watched your video, it was a really good video. Talk about that and the importance of that.
So, in the No Kings rally, I'll say my speech was definitely not as on brand as a lot of speeches that you'll hear for the No Kings. And the reason for that is, as Democrats, we still have to be very strategic with how we move, how we talk, and we have to understand that we're in a state that, I mean, we're outnumbered, you know. And so at No Kings, I connected with a lot of people, and a lot of people understood what I had to say. And the biggest thing that I'm pushing is we have to stop this division, because if we're divided, we'll never get anything done. Like I said, it'll never happen. And definitely, and obviously the side that's at the disadvantage is going to really, 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 really experience those disadvantages if there's a division. The powerful will always win, and the less powerful will always lose. So it's about combining where everybody cares about both sides. Everybody can see both sides. We're just using logic instead of just following a party's plan. And so right now, that the current administration, there's something. It's like, but at this point, the shock factor is gone for me. Like,
same.
It's like the shock factor is gone. I see something and I'm like,
Yeah.
It's
well,
expected.
yeah. It's just, that's the world we live in now.
Yeah, it's just like another thing. Okay. All right, here we go. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, it was a pretty big rally. I think this was the biggest one across the country. We saw a lot of people coming out. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about how, this is great that a lot of people are coming out and a lot of people are showing up for these, but what is it going to mean when it's time to actually vote? What do you think about people making those statements about the rally?
There was a study that showed if 3.5% of the population protested, then the regime would flip. Now that happened in Haiti as well. And so I want to say that probably was about at least 3.5% of the population. It's things are becoming more noticeable, and that's what rallies and protests are for. It's not to degrade, it's not to destroy, it's to bring attention to the issue. And even Republicans once they can hear what's being said, they see the issue. Even if they want to deny it, to their friends, to their family, a lot of them see the issue, and that's what the rally is for. It's not, people say, well, you going out, did y'all see Lindsey Graham's response to the rally?
No, what do you say?
So, Annie Andrews, she's a senator candidate, and she made statements about how Lindsey Graham was out at like Disney World while the TSA was shut down, and so
yeah, I heard something about that.
yeah, and so the news they did her interview at No Kings, Lindsey Graham's response was, nothing y'all say or do is going to change my mind.
Yeah.
Drink a lot of water. I hope y'all are staying hydrated outside.
Wow. They should have said, was he there with his boyfriend? That's what they should have said.
Yeah. So you must have seen her last advertisement then.
I seen something briefly about Lindsey Graham, but I didn't heard exactly what he said, but that's what they should have said. Who was he with? That's the question.
And Lindsey Graham has been in power here in South Carolina for a very long time. Yeah. And, I mean, that just speaks to how politics have been going, that we have these people in charge and they get to make the decisions ultimately, on a lot of things. And so that's why I think, now more than ever, it's great to see people like you running, and it's great to see all 24 districts, right, being challenged, because it's like we need a new, system. We need different people in there, me, even as a progressive person, that's how I consider myself now. I mean, at this point, I don't care who it is, as long as they're different. You know what I mean? Like, we can't keep doing the same thing. The definition of doing the same thing is insanity. Right. So, I mean, like, something's got to change at some point, Yep. So, yeah.
We need term limits.
Yes.
I mean, plainly put, we need term limits. But the thing is, who's going to instate the term limits? Those that it affects. So it's like it's a broken system. Yes. Because like the incumbent that I'll be facing once I make it through the June 9th primary has been there since I was born. He's going on his 25th year in office. That's crazy, because the world today is not the world it was 25 years ago.
Right.
And so we have a system where it's not changing. It's not the people are not changing, because the thing is, society changes. Generations change. I think he's he's 78 years old.
Was it old white man?
Yep, Joe Wilson.
Oh yeah, I figured that. Joe Wilson?
Joe Wilson. That's what I'm facing.
When you lie.
Yep.
That
Joe
Wilson?
You lie Wilson.
Oh my goodness.
That's who you're going up against.
Yeah. That's who I'm going up against.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to win, man.
Yeah, you got to, man.
I mean, because
So he was the guy who said you lied during Obama's speech?
Yeah, that's him, Joe Wilson.
Oh, wow.
Yep, in front of the entire country.
South
the
Carolina,
world.
left and right, constantly.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if we're not going to say, we're going to say when you break through.
Right.
Then you need these things to change, because they are the epitome of the grand old party, because everything literally stays the same. They're like the stepchildren of Strom Thurmond, pretty much, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So everything going to stay the same. It's not going to change. It's going to only benefit them. And like we had to talk with State Rep
Jay Moore.
Jay Moore. When where you are, your rural areas are your most effed up places. That's your least educated. Not saying that where we are is that much better, but we more heavily populated in the more progressive cities in South Carolina, all blues. But and there's only a handful, but everything else is just like, when I cut through and I see all these farmlands and things like that, which is nothing wrong with that, but you already know what time it is when you see big old signs that says Trump. And and the big the blue flag, the American flag, but blue for the police and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You cut through and you see these things, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. You see Jesus saves, then you see big old flag Trump.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I look at this, and I look at the area, and I'm like, y'all right where they want y'all to be.
Yeah,
dumb.
Yeah, I travel all over too, and like just going through like North Carolina and Virginia, you'll just straight up see these gigantic like Confederate flags.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, dang,
Georgia Georgia
as a person, because I'm originally from California. I was born and raised out there. I mean, to see that is like always like kind of jarring. It's like, man, we still got this going on. Like,
man, when I was in high school. High school. My dad brought me out up in Columbia for when they was trying to take down the Confederate flag at the State House. that was the most like it was crazy. Out of it was crazy. It was a thing where, you know, you just see just an average person, but fighting for the wrong thing. You know, it's like a man walked up. I'll never forget. He walked up right to us. How y'all doing? Shook our hand. As soon as he passed us, yelled "white power." It was like, it was like, what's going on? We're like, what's going on? And then one of the officers, obviously, you know, he was a black officer, because you know the people were throwing bottles at them at this point, and so the white man walked up to the officer, said, "Do your job, boy," and walked off. I was like, there is no way.
Wow,
There's no way this is the world that we're living in. You know, it's so divided and separated, and people just fight for the wrong thing sometimes. You know, there's a way you can preserve your history without being disrespectful to the other people.
yeah.
Yes.
It's like in the South, you just go back in time, man. You know, it's not as progressive as everybody think. You know, every place is not Atlanta. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's not as progressive as everybody think it is, man.
Yeah. What did you think about the No Kings rally? Real quick.
How I feel about rallies. I mean, I understand it. I understand it. You know, to me, your best protest is always when you hit them in the pocket. That's the only thing people respect is
You're
the
right.
money. That's their God anyway. You gotta find some kind of way to hit them in the pocket. When you hit them in the pocket, then you get their attention. You know, what was the biggest protest ever? George Floyd, correct? That
That's
was
right.
worldwide, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody, oh no, we're gonna do these things. You know, everybody's putting up these what is it? I forgot what do they call it when they was gonna now they're gonna have black CEOs sit at the table and things
Oh,
like
talking about DEI
DEI,
or
yeah, something like that. Now of course now they roll it all back,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because they were attacking all these buildings, destroying a lot of things. And granted, yeah, it was messed up, but you messing with their money. So that's, you know, we can march, sing, hold hands, walk across the Ravenel Bridge, walk from here to Columbia, all we want.
yeah.
They don't give a damn. They can care less. Look at these darkies out here watching and singing. They got a few whites with them. But when you hit them in their pocket, that's when they will listen. That's what it
That's
is,
true.
man. You got to hit them
I
in
mean,
the pocket.
that's definitely. I mean, it has a lot of truth to that. Now, I'll definitely say with No Kings, I barely saw any black people,
Yeah,
and
I saw
you know,
it.
so when I was out there, I was speaking to white people. That's who we saw, you
Yeah.
know. And I think I saw a clip of a white lady. She said, you know,
Yeah, I saw
yeah,
the
yeah.
same. I know
An
exactly what you're talking
influencer asked her, was like, you
Yeah.
know, how do you feel about no black people being out here? She said, well, they don't need to be out here. You know,
Exactly.
they're at the highest risk of receiving harm. You know, I don't know if y'all saw out in like Lander area where I think it was 6 students got pepper sprayed, and so and that's an example.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. I applaud her for what she said. I saw that same clip. She said, "We gonna stand in the place of them, right?" But I also too, I think they are out there because now, as Malcolm said, the roosters have come home to roost. So it affect them.
Right.
So the policies actually hit them. So now, oh, we got to do something about this. Because initially people vote for these policies thinking they won't affect them. You know what I mean? They think it
Yeah.
affect other people. But the policies came knocking at their back
Came
door.
to
So
their door.
so that's why they out there.
Yeah. Well, that makes me think of, I don't know if you remember the Hispanic woman who was praising Trump at first.
in New York.
Yeah. She was like, you know, she had got up the shirt before he got elected. It's like, I love President Trump. I love President Trump.
Yes.
Vote for Trump. And then as soon as he got in office, she's up there crying, saying, I didn't know he was going to do that. No, you didn't know he was going to do it to you.
you, exactly.
You know he was going to do it to you.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of people vote their demise. A lot of them did, man. I just don't understand it. But as the Bible say, you shall reap what you sow.
You shall.
So I don't really have that much. I feel bad, but I really don't have that much sympathy. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is.
What do you think about the Trump administration and what they're doing just overall? Right now, you look at what they've been rolling back DEI. That's what they, really it's them erasing history.
Project
When you look at
2025.
when you look at what they're doing to the museums and different things of that nature, I mean, like them trying to take the Tuskegee airmen
everything.
off of things, like
Yeah.
they've been doing all kinds of stuff. What do you think about all that?
When I was in DC, my mentees that I took out there, the one thing they said they wanted to do was go to the Black History Museum for the African American, and so they said that it was like because we don't know how long it's gonna be here, honestly,
Yeah.
and it seems like they're trying to, piss us off at this point. The administration is doing things that not only don't make sense but disadvantage people as a whole. History. We're not going to let history repeat itself. Actually, I'm not even gonna. We're living in a completely different time and different minds, and so now I don't. The Save Act is something that administration is trying to push, and it's a definitely a pity that the people don't even know what it is. It's Republicans and Democrats don't know what the Save Act is, and so the Save Act is. That's where they're requiring certain identification to register to vote. And the point of it is supposed to be to prevent illegal immigrants from voting. Now, the problem with the Save Act, this is what I mean by I could see the logic behind it, but the execution is just wrong. I can see the logic behind, okay, we don't want illegal immigrants voting, regardless of what percentage, if it's a small percent, large percent, okay, I understand the logic. People should have identification to vote. Now, why are y'all making it that we have to bring a birth certificate or a passport to register now? And then on top of that, if you're a married woman, you can't even use your birth certificate because it doesn't match the same name that you now have. And so that requires so many people to go get a passport in order to vote. Now, I'm not sure how many people just have 100 or how much ever it is in their specific state to get their passport.
Especially in this economy.
Right. It's like that's like really I'll probably only one tank of gas at this point. But it's so that's why people are calling it a poll tax because it's causing people to spend money to be able to register to vote. Now, like I said, I can understand the reasoning. Now, a better execution could have just been, all right, well, we know that everybody has to get the real ID now to fly. Okay. Yeah. So why not make it nationwide that the real ID requires proof of citizenship to acquire? Now we can just use our IDs to vote, like it gets done what you want to get done. And it also doesn't cause people a lot of grief trying to get it done.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Were there as much illegal aliens voting like they?
No. I mean, not enough to make.
That's what I'm saying. Because I can't really believe so much what this administration is saying, right? And then if you're a legal alien, I mean, some of them weren't even documented. So how did they even vote in the first place?
There's ways.
Well, the numbers it's low. It's very low.
That's what I'm saying.
And honestly, why would somebody who's here illegally want to get involved in our government functions and give all their information to the government that is trying to deport them?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense. If you're illegal, what do you care about voting anyway? You just over here to make some money and fly under the radar, or who knows, or maybe send money home, or maybe go back home with a pocket full of cash.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Some do pay taxes, but
if you're working, of course you're gonna pay taxes.
So, but yeah. Anyways, I get what you guys are saying. Obviously, I lean more democratically on that part because, really what the Republicans are trying to do is they are trying to stop
votes.
People from voting.
Yeah, suppress votes.
And when a lot of people don't come out and vote, they win.
Yep.
And so they're putting these things in front of people in order to, keep people from voting. And the least amount of people that vote, they're going to win. So,
right.
Which, it's crazy to see, but
it's literally one of Annie Andrews' quotes were, "We're not a red state, we're a non-voting state." You know, and because what's crazy about that, in District 2, the district I'm running for, there are more registered Democrats than registered Republicans.
But they don't come out to vote?
Exactly.
Oh,
There's
wow.
more voting Republicans than voting Democrats. And that's the problem.
Is it because, like I said, a lot of these rural states is older people? A lot of the youth is not in the, you know what I'm saying?
I feel like
is it because of that, or?
I feel like it's people have given up on politics because there's so many different avenues to vote now. You can vote absentee, you know. So it's like when I was talking to people, 3 of them said they didn't vote in the last 3 elections. That means the last general, midterm, and the presidential before that. And so I'm talking to them. I'm like, well, why? Why aren't you? And they said, I didn't like either candidate, so you know, I just didn't. I'm like, well, you know, there's more than the presidential, you know, on that ballot, you know.
Yes.
So the things that affect your life right here, you might want to research those candidates too. You know, you might want to research your House candidate to see, okay, well, I might not like the presidential candidates, but let's look at the House candidates to see how, you know, they fare out. And then on top of that, you know, I spoke to a man when I was knocking on doors, and he wasn't even registered to vote. You know, and I asked him why. He was like, "Well, I have everything that I need." You know, and so I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, "No, you don't." Like we're in the hood right now. I'm at your house. Your door is open because your air is off, and we're in the hood. So you don't have everything you need. Right. So, and even if you thought that you had everything you need, what about everybody else who comes after you? What about your kids, your grandkids, your sister, your mom? You know, so we are in a time where everybody's living self-preservation, you know? So if they feel like they are in a spot that they're comfortable, they don't even see an urge to get involved in helping the general population anymore.
Man.
So you would say, think about your community.
Right.
That's a big thing,
Yeah.
you know, determining, you know, how you're going to vote, you know?
Exactly.
So,
especially if you have kids, you know,
for
like
sure.
you said, you want better for your children, you know?
All right, let's talk about Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon had some comments, and I want to play this clip of him and I forget what's her name.
Who?
Is it Amber?
Amber Rose. Yes. Okay. Let me play this real quick.
Those Democrats don't care about black people, and they don't care about people. They don't care about people of color, and the Republicans do, and that's the misconception.
And you know what? I agree with you 100%.
Thank you,
People
Nick.
don't know that the Democrats is the party of the KKK.
Yep.
People don't know that the Republicans are the party that freed the slaves.
Yep.
I mean, both of you and I have some conservative views. You just a little bit more outspoken about it than I am. And I honestly, I don't subscribe to neither party. I rock with W.E.B. Du Bois when he said there's no such thing as 2 parties. It's just one evil party with 2 different names.
All right.
So,
what do you think when you hear Nick Cannon say something like that? And obviously Amber Rose, we've known for a long time that she was MAGA. She campaigned for Trump on multiple occasions. When you hear that, what do you think?
Ignorance, you know, just ignorance. Nick Cannon, I mean, he's one person fighting to be relevant, and I wouldn't take any piece of advice from that man, you know, from just as him as a general population person, you know. But as far as the views, people don't understand that, you know, things change. You know, even if we were in one position one day, that does not change what the party is going to be today. You know, definitely as far as the Democratic and Republican Party, at one point in time, the Republicans were more pro-black. I won't even say pro-black. They just weren't anti-black. You know, the Republican Party was never pro-black, and the freeing of the slaves was a strategic move. It wasn't even something that they did for the black people. It was still for their people. So that's for starters. But as soon as black people started becoming Democrats, that's when the Democrats that didn't like black people were very openly unliking of black people left the Democratic Party because they didn't want to be in the party associated with black people. And so that's what I mean by we can't just solely rely on what history says, because if a pit bull doesn't bite you today, that does not mean that same pit bull will not bite you tomorrow. Yeah. So it's like we're solely relying on the thoughts and processes of people decades ago. So it's not those same people who are running the party. Right. If Trump was running the Republican Party decades ago, then we should have the same thought processes about now as then. It's not, we cannot keep judging a party based off of the history of the party, because those people are gone. Those people are gone. And the people we have now don't like us. So it doesn't matter what the people, 50, 60, 70 years ago felt about us, because they're gone. And the policy and the things that they wanted to do are probably changed by now anyways. And the things that we're doing now, 70 years from now, are probably going to be changed again. So we need to really focus on what is happening to us right now, not what did the party do decades ago.
What do you think? You want to play this?
Yeah, I want you to play that.
Okay.
This is I'm gonna set it up. This is Isaac Hayes, Isaac Hayes' son. You know what that is, right? He does fan base? He's at the platform.
Okay.
Yeah, so he did a rebuttal of what Nick Cannon was saying, and he brought kind of what you're saying, but he broke it down. Go ahead, play that.
Because I'm not here to bash Nick Cannon, but I'm here to correct Nick Cannon. And Nick, I hope you received this very, very well. In the late 1800s, Southern Democrats were absolutely the party of the KKK, 100%. They believed in slavery. They wanted black people to remain slaves and have no rights. In the North, the Republicans, the party of Lincoln, had abolitionists and people that wanted to have see black people have rights. That is the truth. But here's the part that everybody leaves out. In the 1960s, Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Those two pieces of legislation drove the majority of the racists out of the Democratic Party to the Republican Party. And that's the shift in the part that everybody leaves out, because that was a huge political shift in this country. And what that's called is party realignment, right? Where the ideas of a political party switch. Political parties are not static. They can change over time and the ideas can shift. And so that was a huge shift in the Republican and Democratic Party. After that, the racists tend to lean more conservative and be part of the Republican Party. And the Democrats now in the South, when segregation was gone, still contained a large number of black people that voted Democrat. So Nick,
So what do you guys think about that?
I think he's right.
He is
it's
right.
pretty much what he said.
He is right, because it's happening again, like right now, because of Trump, a lot of the current Republicans don't want to be Republican. And that, so definitely the ones that are in the middle where they're more moderate, they're not far right, so it's, like I said, it's happening again. So what happened back in the 60s is happening in a way where the party members are thinking, okay, well, I don't agree with everything they say, but I know if I stay over here, I know what people are going to think about me. So, and back in the day, it was just the reverse. They're like, I don't agree with everything the Republicans say, but if I stay over here with the black people, people gonna think I like black people. So that's why they switched. And so it's the same thing. Just going through it again.
Yeah. So they pretty much it's a MAGA takeover. It's pretty much like not the Republican Party on. It's MAGA to some degree.
It's the attempt, but the thing is, it's failing now. You know, it's because those surviving off of clickbait and rage.
Yeah.
You know, and rage over time, rage calms down.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you saw in Florida where Trump's hometown, where his home is.
Yeah.
Mar-a-Lago?
Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah. So it's like his endorsement meant nothing.
Yeah.
You know, his endorsement of saying, "Oh well, I give him my complete and total endorsement. You know, this is a great man. I'm voting absentee." And he voted absentee when he's trying to remove absentee,
sure
by the
did.
way,
Yep,
which is
sure
crazy.
did. Yep.
Very crazy. But it's like it's a thing where his endorsement now has kind of like the opposite effect. But I mean, now the campaign she ran was also very strategic and smart. So we cannot discredit that at all. You know, she mobilized the young vote. She got the votes that was already there and mobilized the youth. You know, and so her opposition just got his standard votes that he was always going to get. And so I definitely think the younger generation, we're not stupid. We're not just listening to everything that the Trump administration is pushing, because they're pushing this, and we're actually looking into it. You know, we have certain resources that we're like, you know, he said this, but hold up, let me check. Let me check on this.
Yeah.
And we're checking on it, and we're realizing that it's crazy.
Yeah. I've seen some reporters he get into it with the younger reporters. They calling them out and asking them certain things. You get mad, tell them you're a terrible reporter. What you know, you don't do your job well. I don't want to talk to you. When you get frustrated, when you get challenged, so that's like a child, pretty much. It's like a child. What you got, Brooks?
What do you think about what we've been talking about with Nick Cannon and all that? What are your thoughts on it?
What do I think? Just like Isaac Hayes Jr. said, you know, everybody. Oh, I knew about the Dixiecrats and the Republic. I knew about that, you know, but they always leave out that particular that portion of it, you know, and what is saying, like, Democrats don't care about black people, but Republicans do, you know. I mean, I'm more independent, but I mean, Democrats for more social programs, right? And Republicans are not. So I don't know, man. I think sometimes you have to, you know, you vote your interests. But I do know most of the time, being with this current administration, I can't say that Republicans, maybe Republicans might look out for you default if you are, because the tax break was like, they said, like, you 700,000 or better, you know, up in the 1%, then you kind of, you feel the, you know, you kind of feel that tax break. But I think by default, if you are not white and you're in a certain tax bracket, then maybe, you know, they're looking out for you. But the regular working class person, regardless of whatever your color is, I think they feeling it. You see what he did with the farmers, right?
Right.
And the black farmers, that's a very small percentage. So, and they're the ones feeling it. So I don't believe that the Republican Party is looking out for everybody of color. And it shows, you know, you can go out, I'm sure you talk to people more than me. So, you know, and it shows. You can go on social media and see that people actually out here hurting. You know?
That's very true. It's very true. It's like, and that's why when I'm running this campaign, I'm letting people know, like, hey, like, yes, I'm a Democrat, for sure, 100%. But I understand, you know, I understand both sides. And because the thing is, we are hearing the voices of the most, like, radical Republicans, and they are drowning out the Republicans that are just like, hey, I have no problem with you, you know, like, you know, I just agree with some policies on this side and disagree with the policies on this side, you know. So we're losing those people, because we are now, like I said, we've kind of made it where if somebody said, like, if a Republican, I remember I have a friend out in Cali right now, Fresno, and so she's Republican.
Wow,
and
in Fresno.
Yeah. And so I was like, hey, how do you feel about my campaign? They're like, They're like, well, I love you, but I would never vote for a Democrat. I'm like, you don't even know my platform. I'm like, you don't even know my platform yet. I'm like, have you looked at my website? They're like, no, but I'll never vote for a Democrat. I'm like, and see, that's the problem. The problem isn't that our views are different. The problem is that you have already decided before you even know what's going on. So you will continue to vote in your demise because we have created a society where people just dislike each other based off of a party. It's the same, like, it's just racism, but through party affiliation, because obviously, majority of the black people are Democrats, so, but, and because that makes me think, I know y'all saw the ICE girl, the black girl who was in the ICE uniform at the airports, because they take their mask, they can't wear their mask in the airports.
Yeah.
And our people, as a whole, black people, white people, all of them, were just being very, very, very disrespectful to this girl. Now, I don't know what led her to her choices. I don't know what led her to her choices, but I mean, would I have done it? No. I would not. I'm not signing up for ICE ever in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I feel that.
But we just don't know what this girl has been through, and now I know she's getting tore up. And so I have seen so many racial slurs, and just targeted at her, and so we know there's more black people who are working ICE, and because I know that $50,000 bonus convinced a lot of them.
I was gonna say money.
So people will sell their soul for the right price.
And he probably was glad when he could hide their face.
Exactly. So
some of those ICE people are making like 200,000. I think
it's crazy.
I thought it was like 100, but man,
no, it's
I think once you add everything in, it's
it's crazy how they approve their pay, but TSA, other government shut down, but they make their money.
What are your thoughts about all that's going on, TSA and all of that?
I think that somebody that I've been in contact with and has been very supportive. They are part of the Federal Government Employees Union, and in conversation, one of the things that I definitely said I want to focus on is ensuring that regardless of whatever the status of a debate is, these people who are working every single day are not affected. Because why? Do you know how mad I would be if I was a TSA agent? Because it's like, why? In my mind, I'm like, why is my paycheck on hold? Because y'all can't agree.
Yeah.
Because so it shouldn't matter whatever they're going back and forth about, because it could be something that's unrelated to TSA and the government shuts down. Now federal government employees are still not getting paid.
Yeah.
And it's like they still have a life to live.
Right.
Yeah.
So those that quit, I do not blame them. Because I cannot say that I would have been working for a month unpaid. Times are hard.
That is, that's
times
crazy.
are hard. It is so expensive to live. So why are we not just making sure that we have policies in place to ensure that these people are still getting paid?
Yeah. And are they getting unemployment, even though you still employed?
Yeah.
Did he even have any benefits set up like that?
I
Probably
don't even
not.
know. I don't think so. But they did pass something, I think, through the House. But we'll see what comes of that, because it still has to go through the Senate, I think, maybe. Or
so it's like they're passing. They try to pass a temporary
funding. Yeah.
Right, temporary funding so that people can get paid.
So when temporary, like 90 days or something like that, or
I think it's like 30.
Oh, only 30. Wow. When you say temporary, he mean temporary.
Yeah, temporary. It's just enough.
My goodness.
So that they can come to an agreement about everything else.
This just came across my desk. I'll put it that way. So, breaking news right now. Italy has denied the U.S. military aircraft permission to land at an Italian airbase. France blocked planes loaded with military supplies to Israel from flying over their territory. Trump said NATO will Well, it says see more. Anyways, what are your thoughts about that?
I think that okay, so I served in the Air Force, actually right out here, Joint Base Charleston, 315th Airlift Wing, you know. And so my thoughts on it is as a country, you know, each foreign base, we have the most soldiers. We have the most resources. So it's a thing where we are sending majority of our people elsewhere, you know, as country like where we might have 300 soldiers, Italy might have like 15, you know. So it's a thing where why are we occupying so many areas in, you know, but that's additional. This whole thing, NATO serves a purpose. So we should not be abandoning the purpose that it serves, you know, because then once we abandon NATO, things are going to get very expensive again. You know, I saw a video that it was explaining like how inflation through the tariffs would actually affect the people. They explained it in like shoe terms to make it so it's very easy to understand. You know, it's like if Jordans are sold for $100, all right, and now we abandon NATO, so we have all these tariffs and additional taxes on the shoe, and so the shoe goes up to $120, right? And but say that the economy gets better and you know the tariffs are gone, the shoe's not going back to $100.
Right.
You know,
Right,
like I
right.
don't know if y'all have ever seen a pair of Jordans go back to the price before, but
Right.
they're not. They're going to stay at that price. So now we have to suffer those consequences. And so and now they're going to stay at that price until they go up again. They're never going to go back down.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and that's the same thing with everything. So I'm just saying it in shoe terms, but as we move day to day and things get more expensive, they're not going to go back down. You know, it's except for gas. You know, obviously we have some things that fluctuate in price: gas, eggs, milk. You know, but as far as like rent, I have never lived at a place where they have upped rent and then they're like, you know what?
It's good. Right.
Let's go back to the original price.
Exactly.
It's not happening.
It's not,
You know, it's not happening. You know, once that landlord says, yeah, hey, rent increase. I've never heard of a rent decrease.
Yeah.
You know, I've always heard of a rent increase. I've never heard of a rent decrease, and
Yeah.
that's because things they don't go back. Once they learn that you're okay paying it at that price, it's staying at that price.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on like the war and what Trump is doing? There's a clip that kind of went viral of Stephen A. kind of talking about the war. I do want to play that just real quick, and then we can react to it. So let's just.
You got a lot of damn nerves to be in the face of American people saying for numerous administrations, Iran is a problem. They have to be dealt with. Iran's a problem. They have to be dealt with. And then this man deals with them, and then all of a sudden you're complaining about him now. Right. It doesn't really make sense. There's a lack of consistency.
All right, so that was him on Bill Maher. Basically sounding like he's for the war and he's kind of justifying what Trump is doing right now.
Who was ever saying other than Israel that Iran got to be dealt with? See,
Well,
you see that silence? That's
yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Well, you know, for years America has kind of said something about it.
Because of Israel.
Yeah.
Come on, man. It's because of Israel.
But you know, even before like all the the stuff with Israel, like I mean, in the 70s and stuff, you know, what was going on with Iran, and then if you look at history, you know, some of those things. But yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. More recent history is definitely, you know.
But I'll definitely say over time, you know, we've had a lot of conflicts in the Middle East. You know, true, very true. And even and we could say if Iran is a threat, you know, obviously we've dealt with things from them in the past and in the present now. Also true. Now we are in 2026 though, so how do we handle war in 2026? Is it drop a bomb on a random day in a country? No. We have technology. You know, there's so many other ways to handle things these days. You know, so I don't agree with us going to war, spending all this money and losing all these lives. I don't. I just don't. I feel like definitely as a service member and knowing veterans, they also don't, because it feels like now we're pawns in a game that we're not playing. We don't want to play this game.
Yeah.
I don't want to be part of the game. I don't want to be part of battleships. I want to chill at home with my gas at a reasonable price and watch TV. I don't want to see Lego reenactments of soldiers dying. It's became a time where it's all for fun for them, and it shouldn't be. It's we're spending billions of dollars that could have been spent here and taking care of the people here. I think what they said, the amount of money that we spent on the war the first week could have paid the Medicare and Medicaid for like years. So it's like, what's the reason, but of course they're always going to, no, also them bombing. Okay. I don't understand the rationale behind bombing the leader of a country and a regime and expecting them to like you after. It's crazy. So it's, yeah, like, yes, I killed your leader. Congratulations. What do you mean? We hate y'all now. No, now y'all can't go to Dubai. Y'all can't come to Saudi Arabia. Y'all can't even come over here because now we're violent. Y'all is violent, so we're going to be violent. And so it's like the response to violence is always violence. So I'm not sure what they expected the response to be. He expected them to praise him for dropping a bomb on their leader.
Yeah.
Like just think about that. Yeah, what does he think America would do if they were to do something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's his arrogance.
It's
Yes, the arrogance. What do you know? He's a narcissist. So
Yeah.
It's
that
crazy.
sounds typical textbook narcissism.
What are your thoughts on what Stephen A. had to say in the war?
I mean, this apparently now, I guess word on the street, especially amongst the black community, that Stephen A. Smith was cooning. That's what everybody, you know what I'm saying? And now, Stephen A. is not really getting no love from his own people, And then Stephen A. Smith also, too, you got to realize Stephen A. Smith is in a different tax bracket. So he's not going to think like the average working American people, how they think,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, by default, Stephen A. Smith benefits from Trump's tax breaks. He's in a different tax bracket. So, of course, he's going to maybe praise Trump and praise what he's doing and this and that. Who knows? And Stephen A. Smith, if he's smart, he probably bought some stocks in some of these oil companies too, which I plan to do myself. We might as well, you know what I'm saying? Even though I'm still a working class person, we might as well benefit.
Everybody's making money.
Exactly. Right. So, yes.
That's the thing about war. War is big business.
It is big
And
business.
so
of
that's
course.
really what's going on. A lot of these guys are getting rich off of this thing.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so.
And that's what they said, follow the money. So
Yeah.
I heard that there was these politicians were, and the hedge funds were, what they do? They want a stock to tank. They wanted the oil and everything to go down, and then they capitalize on it. And now when it's stabilized now, then they got control of all this oil. Now the stocks shooting up, which is a form of insider trading, but we'll get penalized for that, but they won't, you know what I mean? So,
Right.
yeah.
It's the luxuries of the powerful.
Exactly.
Definitely. Well, hey, for people who are trying to be a part of your campaign, and what we like to do when we bring people on is like let them do like a direct to camera and kind of tell people who they are, what they want to do, and then that way we can kind of put it together for you. So let the people know.
Yeah, man.
So, my name is Zyon Khalifa, and I want to be the candidate that fights for you. I want to be the candidate that understands your struggle. I want to be the candidate that understands your pain, your frustration, regardless of what you believe in, regardless of if you're a Republican or a Democrat, because at this point in time, we are all going through this together. We are experiencing this crazy world together. And so make sure you follow at Khalifa for Congress on every social media site, or you can check my website out at khalifaforcongress.com.
All right, man. Well, do you want to say anything else about what's kind of facing South Carolina or anything?
The biggest thing I would say, be aware. Be aware. Because like I said, for the SAVE Act, for example, the people that I spoke to, even the Republicans, did not know like the actual details of what is to come. So it's the government as it stands right now is not a transparent government. They are not a government that wants you to know the ins and outs of what's going on. So the biggest thing is to be aware of what it is so you can make an educated decision based off of the information presented to you. If we keep moving in this world and we're moving blindly and just not looking at what it is that we're facing, we'll never win. The 48 laws of power. If you know yourself and you don't know your enemy, you have 50% chance of winning.
Yeah.
If you know your enemy and not yourself, you have 50% chance of winning. If you don't know your enemy and don't know yourself, you don't stand a chance. But if you know yourself and your enemy, you will win that battle. So it's all about being aware.
That's good.
Yeah. Which I read that 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate y'all for having me.
Yeah.
I think you got a chance, man. 'Cause
Yeah.
Khalifa, and these young know where's Khalifa.
Yeah,
so you got a chance.
Name
man.
recognition. Recognition.
Exactly. You got a chance.
Well, we wish you well on
Thank you.
everything
Thank
out
you.
there.
Glad to have you, man. And let us know, man, how things going, man. Keep us posted.
Yeah.
Keep us updated.
And if you want to come on right before things
you wanna
happen,
come back,
let us know because we'll make it happen.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Sure.
All right.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right, man. We out.
Peace.